And I'm going to make this very brief. I mean, on my way, I was trying to figure out what to talk about. I had thought about a few things, but I needed to sort of put it in context. And I was trying to understand, okay, so when we talk about goals and growth, which aspect of my life do I need to talk about?
Ghana de Shimamba. Midi any lady Nax as a Muhumi has say and Jubilee hot trains and I'm the best more. And sister because a Jubilee hot trains and no item to say, hot a sense and never the best one. A jet you are to anchor sanka. Now make I say so about hospital say or mouth. Akunya se faba ne ho ne beja ya hwe omo amasema stadium junction na ososo ya de bia ya tina oso acheni enya onfa hodie efrim ya de a ya ankasa yie ntema ya de bi entina oso enche and afa so gift travel consult or some 10 years Canadian contract coverage Canada ne ekoye boga. Now we can say a travel over Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can even have one even social and any media and also. And to me, say alcohol my like in a comment in a share MIA. Now also no first time subscribe. Now after process to any be and share. And someone else is Ghana. I didn't say you know just and someone kebu. Son of that to us, no. Young Conan Kosha video. The video that Kosha, oh, any comments be at the Jato comment section. I say, Bakayamo, Yakoshamba. And to any video I Kosha, that video Baba watch. I say, but here to mark us a mature or slay, the slay the mono abad where Mekayawa SS Pane. Ghana from Fancy head mistress be pa na a friend of BREASTINA. It's where she say bad dope. And our program be as an address and sister the call her the just any dressing kitwa. Meaning say program as in move for and a month for question because we go a singer sister if you so now before night say bad dope you all tonight is a month for me movie video now more channel and that me baby say me move for you so and a video either the no one out there when you Ghana had say and send me say they told that na Ghana for so me say twetwe any omobe kasa fa hu bebre sama ombe kafa ono akasa na ebe ya nwa yi ankasa yi na sama nkofo bi kan ne de abadop what sharp abadop video that not just any Ghana she is a feeling lady just say the video bi and s ankasa one ni pada se na wankasa o kana waze uno na video wa ba ya show no what one wankasa wa kana wasem no so enti na matade o share ya just video mu for ya pompi BREASTINA enye mu for ketwa ayi nkuru wa just fufu mienu samoya wo serve mu kunu no mo no ane unse se wo serve wo kunu fufu aye ntwa ne ba ko twa ne mienu so o hye se le bufo na ye na ayegu atade mu ma na che se emu fufu ntu amienu akasa ese na sa video so na Ghana for say ye be kan wasem ene comment ka ho say abadop I said the marine spirit working through all these liquids just say marine spirit Mane watamones one and then show them what say I'm dressing sad dressing way. I always say chia role model that our children are watching them. Just say obi hu abadop the one in my fe akwada bi now just say the person that actually say abadop now I show video we e na tade we na wa sha e be na wo person wo kire kwada yi and then this is the more obi so de baba to social media no so and I say about bring them out per coin and I say go talk less because what is this it's a no from me just say before na send me aye enka ezeza abadop Oh, you not one day. Let us say, she's showing the BREASTINA new phone. That's a show me ya upon price of phone to me media. Let us say, the other chair a German and the other papa. It's one is about Ghana for a new four. Our the bachelor Ghana for meaning so the bachelor a member more Ghana say, or the bachelor mano, and as the bachelor prophet or say, Kwame, there be only the Yamini Panty Enfa. Eh, Ghana. Yes, we free another video is so I'm not just a midinani Belamundi. Belamundi so the name some about Betuja. Sana and some air cost so GH1 TV pa. Yes, me there was be some cost about a bitch heavy. And some Belamundi and Betuja and they say Abrana or GH1 TV no. And it's the one you bidda. Baby, I don't know soon. Cote and the a juma crab no late. It's answer or cocoa feel say or a juma. Or come in if you say, hey, a very backbiters. And I want to back on some. And one hour sell to the boss. And the old bed, you know, one hour say Muna as soon as say Muna. Why wouldn't you so not to say, need Yankasa do her. Why only a dual TV station that you will not understand? I even understand perfect because experiencer and comfortable experience. It's I don't know. So when you go TV station, I can so get your kasakwa. Ye. We show pa na ya seno. We get baba pa na we biasa tata ni so. When and some Belamundi ekaye abana wo GH1 TV. Ema nam so emo copy TV 3 eno. Di anko na anko tie anasi anko show video no embra.
Very brief. I mean, on my way I was trying to figure out what to talk about. I had thought about a few things, but I needed to sort of put it in context. And I was trying to understand, okay, so when we talk about goals and growth, which aspect of my life do I need to talk about? And today, I'm going to talk about a part of my life that was very difficult for me, but that was what led me to what I've become today. And usually, I know on social media, or when we get to speak in public, we always talk about the nice things that happen in our lives. But we're human like everybody else. And so, at the end of the day, we even face more challenges than anybody, especially because there's a lot of spotlight on us, and so people assume that things should be easy. But that's when the challenges become difficult. So I'll talk about the last parts of my journey at GH1 into TV3. And I want to use that to just let you understand that sometimes if you sit at one place, you're sitting on your blessing. And it's difficult to make that decision to eventually move, but that move is what brings the growth. But before you make that move, you should have a goal. Do you get how I'm connecting it? Okay. So, latter part of my days at GH1, things had become very tough. I felt like I had grown to a certain limit, and the platform could not offer me what I wanted anymore. But I was afraid to make that bold step to leave. And that was because my whole journey as a broadcast journalist had started with GH1, when it was for Charterhouse and eventually when EIB bought it. So, from the inception up until that point in my life, I felt like I owed the company, you know, something, a favor, or my career. And so it was going to be very difficult for me to say finally that I'm done and I need to move. I was looking for a way to move because things had become very difficult. I just wasn't finding myself in that space anymore, be it relating with people, the work I was doing, because even before I started the show I was doing before I left, I was doing rhythms. And I always say that every time there needs to be a move, I just wake up, sit in my bed, and God tells me, my friend, it's time, write this down, and I do. And so I had just started the late afternoon show. Just 1 year into it, I had won an award. Then there's an opportunity for me to move, and I'm thinking, I fought so hard to have this show go on air. Because when I wanted it on air, my bosses said, I'm sorry, this is not going on air. We're not letting you leave your previous show because we're not sure we can find anybody to replace you. And so instead of creating a void, we'd rather you stay there and just plateau. I mean, they didn't say plateau, but they just said, we also couldn't find anybody who could do that job, so you might as well stay there. But I had interviewed everybody that mattered in the music industry, in the arts industry, and I was tired. Because a month later, the same person will come and I have to now think of what other question to ask. Because I was recycling them over and over. So I told myself I was done with this and I needed a show that would challenge me. And I was done talking about music only and what are you doing, what's your album about. I just wanted something a bit more challenging. My bosses said no. I had to fight. I had to cry. There were guests who would walk into the building and they'll find me crying. And they're thinking, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, my bosses don't want me to start my new show. And it was all very upset because they just didn't understand the backstory of it. Now, eventually, I had people who helped me and I started that show. A year into that show, I'm told, it's time to move again. And I'm telling God, but you just gave me this idea. So why do I have to move? And he says, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to move because I made you start this show for a reason. And that was supposed to prepare you for the next journey. I still didn't understand. So TV3 gets in touch with me. The first time, I want to move. I tell them, okay, I'll come. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you people, you're jokers. I'm not moving. So I accept, I sign a contract and everything. It's time for me to move, and then I have to tell them the bitter truth. I'm sorry, but I cannot make it. And it pissed everybody off, I'm sure, at TV3. They were very disappointed because they were just about ready to, put out the PR and say, Sabella is joining us. And this is me being so afraid to move. And so I got stuck in that space. For another 6 months, I was there. Now, this move came in March. So if my calculation is right, the final move I made was in September. So maybe about 5-6 months. Now, while I was there, things took a turn because I was disobedient. I knew I had to go, but I wasn't going. So God said, if that's the case, thank you. If that's the case, then I'm going to make it even more difficult for you.
And see, the lamon didn't someone debate who a journal. Hey, obi a hwe menu na dati de be kana ze yanka zanga say enti no na ha na be ma kwa ba mi Jubilee Hot Trends abani ye enti se me ka say Jubilee Hot Trends na wa je say what esan say stories na me be on already to hot BREASTINA ne crash say eja etuato wo ni baba so no say hot zanga say ye enti no SO Herbal Hospital say ma akonya we enye akonya mpo wona yade na atena oso enti say yade na atena oso ache na wo de achi unya yaresa me kan for SO Herbal Hospital dia mawo and after so eni fire atena oso ache ya be wo say free obi na even so obi na to eni fire no mo wana say obi hu made na say atena oso ache hu made fiti kwala bem obi oso so bia onyi ye ni meme be fry wo de fa ko SO Herbal Hospital mama abasama stadium junction na wo so kwaja yarehwe na give travel consult on so say about 10 years Canadian contract ko Canada na osusu konya ekoye ejuma na nya bi ehye obotom eno nti no emi amotwetwe nkomo na ba me etwegu screen ase enti doctor Prophet Dr. Nana Kofi Yenchi kubi abejama so ni ko wade ko wani jeniku kono ko pebito any spiritual problem bi awde koto na wo so edi adanse efam kun hu bi eso nta adanse e ba no se meka anya na meka ode ko de ko to bi na yusu na wo so e ba bedi adanse no we bi ani Lady Nax so ma me o family Lady Nax na mama wo tu me da wa sisa wo je breshe na me che Prophet ose kwa me ba ko pe ayo no na echinchi mo efidie ene camera ya che se bibia ekoso totin e maye ene ti na me che obi bia so o hwe me e wo Jubilee TV me da wa sisa wo je bre bye bye.